This is part 3 of my attempt to build the Grbl Hand Held controller. I've added some functionality to the controller to send commands to Grbl. This demonstrates right now the homing cycle being triggered from the top right button on the controller. The next will be the fixed size stepping, where turning the jog wheel will move the router by fixed step amounts. I believe right now it's set to 10 millimeters, 10x. And in this case, the motion can be stopped simply by pressing the center of the encoder and canceling the motion. That way, if it's going out of its limits, you can always stop it on the spot. And then this is the dynamic jog mode, which we'll see a little bit further in more detail, but it's nice because, responds quite fluidly. Some of the other commands that are in here are, for example, this one, which is just return to work position 0. So now a little more demonstration of the jog mode. Selector switch set to jog, select the axis on Y, now it's on X. And you can see it actually responds fairly well, I think. There's not a whole lot of lag, especially when letting go of the wheel to make sure that the cutter stops where it needs to stop and doesn't keep moving. Return to 0 again for the router. It's looking good so far. Now this is earlier in the day where I was trying to test the man in the middle mode, where the controller is sitting between the computer that's sending the G-code and the Grbl controller itself driving the CNC machine. It's really promising. I really like it. You can see right now BCNC is sending a job to the Grbl controller that's running on the Arduino that's sitting on the desk in the background there. And you can see the G-code being pushed out. It's going through the handheld and then eventually getting to Grbl, and Grbl's responding. And the motion is very fluid. You can see what the computed positions are, and that it's hard to tell, but there's a display there for the number of free planner blocks, and they're always full. There's no lag. It's not falling behind. It's able to keep pace, and the machine would be busy. So this is very encouraging because I really want to see this work. So this is the test I did earlier in the day, and eventually here next we're gonna get to see it run on the real machine itself. At this point, I'm demonstrating the debugging capabilities. This is just something for my records, but on the right side, there's a little mini terminal window in it. What it does is it shows the G-code that's being received by the handheld from the G-code sender, which is BCNC in this case. So BCNC is sending G-code to the controller, and you can see it's streaming here, and the controller is forwarding that to the Grbl controller running on the Arduino. It's handy when you're trying to test the thing. And then this is the other extension to the debugging mode, which is the terminal display on the left, which shows the messages coming back from Grbl and going to the computer. And it's a good sign that there's not a whole lot to see here, because as BCNC is sending G-code commands to Grbl, Grbl's responding with a whole bunch of OKs, which is what you'd expect to see and really want to see. So not as exciting, but it's helpful in any case, especially when you're trying to figure out why things are not talking to each other properly. And then this is the real test that I wanted to get to today, which is this is my computer where I run CNCJS and sending a job to the machine with the controller connected as the man in the middle, and actually moving the machine itself, not just driving a Grbl controller that's sitting on my desk with no hardware connected to it. The setup that I have is a Raspberry Pi that sits on top of the Grbl controller for the machine, and this is the one that's running CNCJS in here. That's the Raspberry Pi. It's connected to the handheld controller. The handheld controller then is connected to the Grbl controller itself. And CNCJS, I did something to my configuration, and it's a little jumpier than VCNC. It's not updating the status as often as I don't know what I did. It's not an issue normally, but I must have bumped something in my configurations that caused this to be a little laggier. But it's not an issue. It's the motion is fluid. The planner blocks are always full. Nothing's reporting an error. Grbl's not kicking back any errors, and it's pretty good to see it running around. You can see the states right now as you change the states of the job, putting it in hold, and you can see the controller being able to catch those and respond appropriately. So it stays synchronized with what the G-code sender is sending, so that we can tell that and be confident that they're all seeing the same state on the Grbl controller.